in child protective services, and they won't give them back to their loving families because they're making money.
This is a legal system that you're going into. And if you don't know the rules, you will be chewed up and spit out.
If I could say anything to a mother who just got their children detained, you're in a crisis. Yeah. Life feels like it's over. The most important thing is regaining custody of your children.
The child welfare system at its core is designed to protect children who need protection, okay? And that's key, is who need protection.
So social workers, out of fear, will remove more children rather than only remove those children that truly need to be removed.
It's okay. It's okay.
This isn't someone stole your car. Someone broke into your house. This someone took your child, your flesh and blood.
It doesn't say on this order that it was not proven. It says untrue. I immediately knew that, okay, well, this ain't over.
There? Were there no signs? Did I miss them? Did I catch them? At this point, I honestly don't know.
Families only get a finite amount of time to reunify.
I came into this field to help families, not destroy them.
The difference between the criminal system and the child welfare system is substantial. You have more rights as a criminal than you do as a parent.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Georgette True, and I am the co-host for Fight CPS, Real Talk in Mississippi. And I have my guest today, Art Bustamante and Dave. I cannot pronounce your last name, Dave, but go ahead and introduce yourself, Art.
My name is Art Bustamante, licensed private investigator out of California, and here to talk about fighting CPS.
And I'm Dave Shackelford. I'm out of Indianapolis, Indiana area.
Okay.
And I do have a license as a private investigator.
Cool. And you also in the good fight of fighting against this corrupt CPS system.
Whatever assists the client.
Yep, that's right. Do you want to, earlier I asked you if there's anything you want to share with the viewers about a case you're working on, but you cannot disclose the names, and of course, you know that. Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, there's a plenty of cases to actually talk about, depending on what it is we're looking at here. When it comes to corruption or taking kids, as some say, they're stealing kids from the families, and where you impact both the child and the parents, or the parent in this case. I've had situations where, trying to narrow it down to just a few cases where the child was taken away and given to the father. And yes, there was a separation, there was a divorce. And unfortunately, when things go bad and somebody calls on one of the parents, and they're in the system now, whether the situation was true or not. I told a story that seemed to hit home with a lot of people, where the mom had 50-50 custody of the children, two little girls. She took one to go see the doctor because she fell, scraped her knee, and then over a couple of days it got bruised. Well, the girl was 9 and she was complaining that her knee was hurting her. And so the mom took her in, and the nurse actually noticed the bruising, not just on her leg, the little girl, but also on the arm. She got concerned. And as the mom and the daughter were sitting in the doctor's office waiting, she called CPS. And, which was interesting because the police also showed up. And this was a case here in California. And the situation happened where the children were taken into another room. The child that was there for the bruises because she fell outside playing, and the other young girl, she was about 4 years old, took them away and started questioning them. The mom at that time really didn't know what was going on. All of a sudden, the nurse came in and said, we would like to take your kids over here to get examined. And she was fighting that, saying, I don't understand where my kids are going, why they need to be examined, what's happening here, and who is talking with my kids. They literally had to keep her in another room with security and police there because she was frantic and upset. That emotional outburst was actually used against her a little bit later on within the case. And she's been fighting to get her kids back simply because that there was some bruising on the leg. And they felt that the mom was being abused. And interestingly enough, the mom had some bruises on her arm from gardening. She actually kind of slipped and fell and hit her arm on a brick. So they were asking her, who is abusing you and your daughter? Nobody. I live alone. It's just me and my house, my caretaker. That's it. Like, they didn't believe her. They thought she was in some weird imaginary abusive relationship, and they used these situations to set up the children being taken away. And they said, okay, if you go and take these classes, about 10 months, put all this money into it, you'll get your kids back. All these funny things were promised, like most of the people are. And the situation is, within 6 months, those kids were going to be adopted out. And she didn't even realize that because nobody told her. She felt so lost within the system. And she didn't lawyer up till it was already halfway through everything that was going on, because they promised her all kinds of interesting things. Take these classes halfway through. Within 5 months of you being in these classes, we'll go ahead and start letting you see these girls again. But that never happened. So she started becoming confused, and she never understood why this was even happening. She got scared and realized, I guess I just have to follow exactly what they say.
Yep.
And she's still fighting because she did not get a lawyer early enough.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought this point on real quick before we start with Dave. The reason I was late to the show today because I was talking to a client, and the same thing happened to her, and this happens all the time. They tell the parents to stop them from lawyering up. They tell them, oh, you're going to get your child back if you follow this, if you do this, if you do this, you're going to get your kids back.
Yeah, easy
That
enough.
is not true. That is not true at all. So they just want to keep you on the down low. They give you breadcrumbs, right, to keep you quiet while they're doing what they're doing. 100% of the time when the social worker steals your child, she or he knows what's going to happen to the child. Before you go to your hearing, the social worker and the court already know this child will be in an adoptive home.
Right.
People think, hearing this out, they're like, no, I don't think so. No, I'm a good parent. This never happened to me. I've never been in the system before. It doesn't matter. And I tell everybody this, they're not concerned about you. They're not concerned about your child. They're concerned about their funding.
Right.
Okay. They have to get funding. In California, social workers are entities. They are independent contractors that contract with the state of California.
Yeah.
Okay, but they have immunity. They have severe immunity. They get the funding. They will do it. They're trained to lie. That's what.
Yeah, they follow their script.
They're expert in lying. Expert. They know exactly what they're doing.
They know how to intimidate and know exactly what to say to scare people.
They do. They do very, very much. Dave, how about you? What case have you dealt with that, that touched your heart? I'm sure every case does. However, share with somebody.
I can't single any particular one case out. Going back to Art's story, I would think if the mother had not been hysterical and didn't make a big scene, that would have been a problem. I would think that any mother would have responded the same way with her hysterical outburst because their children were being taken. So to me, that was a normal response.
Yeah,
it's
but
the response that's not normal.
No, but according to the state and the social worker, when a mother cries for her children, right, they call them emotionally unstable. So you're not supposed to cry. But if you don't cry, they say that you don't care about your kids.
Yeah, you're kind of screwed at that point a little bit, you know.
And they actually say that in court. The
Yeah.
mother didn't cry. She doesn't care about her kid. The judge would say that.
They're all tactics. Yeah,
Yeah. And
unfortunately.
if the mother cries, then the judge will say you're unstable because you're emotional.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Art agrees. Anytime you have a deviation from what should be quote unquote normal, that's a red flag.
Yeah.
Right.
They don't want you to have feelings, but yet if you don't show feelings, then they say that you don't care about your child. It's weird. There's a case, the judge told the mother, that while the mother was told from the social worker, don't talk to the dad about the children. If you have a question about the kids, talk to me, the social worker, and I will get you the information. So in court, the judge asked, did you ever contact the father to see how the children is doing? She said, well, I did speak to the social worker because that was her instructions. And then the judge said, well, I guess the custody goes to the dad because you didn't care about your kids. Man. Yes, she never missed a visitation, nothing. She just didn't communicate with him per the social worker's instructions.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we talked about this a little bit this morning, but that's why it's not a bad idea sometimes to have guys like me or Art videotape the exchange of children, or when they're going to be transferred from one parent back to the other, so you can document the conduct of the other parent.
Yep.
Exactly.
More than once I've observed hysterical, confrontational behavior in front of the child. And the videotape was able to support in this case, the mother's contention that the father was volatile and aggressive and mean, because here it was on tape that was taken at the time of the visitation.
And the bad thing about it is that oftentimes when you go through cases like this, people think because they're good parents, they're going to get their custody back. And people don't understand that family law courts are lower courts. You're not dealing with lower courts when they steal your children. And I say steal your children because that's exactly what they do. They steal your children. And they traumatize the kids. And when they traumatize the children, they blame the parents that they are the cause of them reacting to the social worker.
Right.
And they don't want to be in the foster home, for example. So people think because they have custody in family law that they're going to get the custody in juvenile. No, because if you have custody in family law, your juvenile, basically the court will supersedes that.
I think people believe that the justice system works.
Yeah.
The way it's supposed to. And I put the word supposed in italics, I guess. But what they don't realize is that they've entered into a closed society that they have no voice in, no say-so in, and those wheels are going to grind no matter what the parent does or doesn't do.
Exactly.
Yeah, and they give them false hope. They truly do. They're saying, look, as soon as we conduct our investigation, we can get your kids back to you, but you got to hang tight. It should be pretty simple. It should be pretty smooth. If you haven't done anything wrong, it'll be okay. Give it time. Your kids will be in foster care, or the kids will be with the other parent, at full time. We're going to conduct this investigation. They don't want you to lawyer up. They don't want you to understand what's going on or understand how this system works, because by the time those kids are already being processed, they're moving along. Like Dave said, once those wheels get turning, you cannot stop them. All you can do is fight for your rights, fight for those children back, because you're not going to stop them. You're not.
No.
All you can do is fight and then get those kids back.
No.
But once they get going, you need to look. Once this happens, you should lawyer up. You have to.
Yeah, and social workers also intimidate parents. When they go steal your child, they're not breaking into your home, right? They're not stealing your car. They're stealing your flesh and blood. Like, they're your flesh and blood. They are your children. And the social worker laughs at a parent when the parent cries and intimidate the parent and tell the parent, you're never going to see your kids again. She's not the judge, but she already knows what she's going to write in the report that the judge will believe. Get it? And the children will not be returned to the mom.
Right.
So that's why they know what's going to happen before you go to your first court hearing. They know. They determined your future, your kid's future, from day one. That's why an investigation phase is very important. You don't just open the door to the devil and welcome the devil in your home and say, "Welcome, Satan. How can I help you?"
And see, guys like me and Art we can do our own investigation. That should actually be more thorough than what CPS does.
Oh, yeah.
But we can interview the neighbors. We can interview the relatives. We can interview the same people and come up with our own non-biased, objective narrative of the collection of the facts.
Yeah.
Right.
And oftentimes they put the children anyways in homes that's not good for them. They put the children in homes that have, for example, a case that we were working on, the guy hired an investigator, and the investigator found out that the home, where the foster parent is, the father parent, whatever you want to call him, he has a sex offender, he's on the sex offender registry. And so basically he's living with his girlfriend and he has a record. And he's living home with her. He lives there. He has his mail go there.
Well, he's committing a crime right there. He cannot be in contact with children.
Exactly.
That's a crime.
When the mother and the father found out, they reported, they took the report, gave it to the social worker, right? Thinking the social worker is going to do the right thing. But what the social worker told them, don't worry about it. Why? Because the foster mom, and I hate saying the word mom after foster, the foster woman. I was going to say another word, but you helped me. The foster woman, she knew the social worker personally, meaning they go out together. The investigator got pictures of them drinking at clubs while the child is with the boyfriend, right? Drinking alcohol in front of the child watching a game, for example. And the investigator got everything, all the information that the mom and the dad needs on this home.
Yeah.
And when they went to court, they had a court pretender, the court appointed attorney. So they give the evidence to him as well. And he told them that he cannot submit this evidence into court. So the parents got really angry and said, my children are in harm's way. They're being abused. Mind you not, they were not being abused at their dad's home or their mom's home. They were not abused. It was all allegations from a teacher. A teacher. That's it.
Right.
Teacher. And
that raises the question of the format of the quote evidence that the mother had to give to the court-appointed attorney. It may not have been admissible by the very format of the evidence. There's some strict rules on what you can and cannot submit as evidence.
I agree. However, he can use a strategy to present it to the court. That's why Mr. Davis, I said earlier, and I will keep saying this, Mr. Davis uses strategy for everything. So whatever they're trying to dig for you, a good attorney will have them fall in that pit that they dug for you.
Right.
That's what a good attorney and a good investigators do.
Right.
And
good investigators are going to work well with any attorney that your client, the parent, whoever is hiring, but as long as they both have experience in this industry and you're not just hiring a sideline investigator that works with the attorney, you'll have a very good outcome, because we're pretty much independent. And we work well with other attorneys, with lawyer groups, and you need to find investigators that also do that, so you can have a good, solid plan, and you work together as a team.
The stakes are too high for any other approach than a team strategy concept.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It's all strategy is very important. And a lot of people will say, well, what is the strategy? What can I give me the strategy so I can use it on my case?
Right.
That's fine. We'll give you the strategy if you want to use it. But if you like one client said, well, I give the strategy that Mr. Davis gave me when he was coaching her and consulting her to her court appointed attorney. And the court appointed attorney laughed at her. So I'm telling her, why did you tell him that? There's a way to have him do what you want him to do, right? Without telling him, this is the strategy I want you to use. It's gonna like not let your right hand know what your left hand is doing.
Right.
Kind of like what the social workers is telling you. They're not telling you anything to help you. They're telling you the opposite.
Right.
Of what's going to hinder you. And they're making it look like it's to help you.
But it's not. It's to stall you so you
It's not.
don't make progress. They don't
Right.
they don't want you to make progress.
Right. No, they don't. We have, I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, you guys, but I've been talking to people all morning. But a social worker that used to be a social worker, she's going through a case with her granddaughter. I mean, with her daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And she said that they trained them to lie. They actually trained social workers to lie. There is actually also a video that I shared a month ago on my video where one attorney with 3 federal judges, it's all over YouTube, convincing the judges why the state workers lie to steal children. One of the federal judge, he looked like Santa Claus to me. He was so adorable. He looked at her kind of like, what did you just say? Like he couldn't believe that she said it's okay because she's defending the social workers, that it's okay to lie to steal children from parents.
Yeah. You know
That
that
is
there's a
okay.
lot of people
But
that
yet-
don't believe that.
Right. But yet, if the mother says, I didn't hurt my children, and the children love the mom, they want to be with the mom, the children don't show signs of abuse, yet they tell the mother, you're a liar. And we're going to take the children anyways. But yet, they admit that they lie to steal children.
Yep.
Is anybody listening to me? I mean, she literally admitted that.
Well, again, the common person doesn't believe that people in those positions of authority and power would lie. It's if you ask 1,000 people, do you think social workers lie? They're mostly going to say no, because they believe that's how it's supposed to be.
And
But
they
that's
don't
not
understand it yet.
Yeah.
That's not how it is.
Yeah. You only believe it when it's actually happening to you.
Right.
And then you're slapping yourself in the face going, I can't believe this is happening. I
right.
haven't done anything wrong. They're lying. Other than that, everybody thinks that the system runs well. There's no problem.
They do. They
Until
think
you're trying to dig yourself out of a hole. You don't even know how the heck that hole got there.
True. The system works for people that have ties to the system.
Right.
People that have ties to the system, that's when the system works. I have a case last year that the father's wife is a social worker. The wife doesn't want to be with the father anymore. She's cheating on him. So what does she do? Reports him to her department. A couple of social workers go to his house and immediately removes the children from his care because they had joint custody into her care. Okay. Now, kids are not abused. No sign of abuse, nothing, but it was just allegations from her. They sided with her because she's a social worker.
Right.
And the kids were afraid. Right. So the father was innocent in all this. So it's cases like this. So people say the system works. The system doesn't work. I laugh at them. I want to hang up on them so badly, but I laugh at them instead, and I educate them as much as I can.
Yeah.
Because the system only works if you're in the system, you have connection to the system, and you have money to pay off the system.
Right.
89% of mothers don't make as much as dads. So if the father makes more money and he's the abuser, right? Then the court will give the father, the abuser, the children.
He's got the resources to pay for it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Right.
So people don't get that. And people say, well, how are we making a change? Freaking vote them out. I keep saying, and Davis keeps saying, vote them out. Oh my God. I want to make sure that all the judges in juvenile court right now will never be in office again, on their seat again. Because we need to choose wisely who we want to be a judge.
Right. Exactly.
Not because he's a Democrat, not because he's a Republican, not because it's a woman, not because she's purple, green, black, purple, red. It doesn't matter. You choose the best fit by doing your own researches. You have to research about the person. You can't just assume because he or she is one party, that they're good. No, it doesn't work that way.
Right.
So
yeah, but how many people do you know that actually would research a judge?
Okay, I'm guilty of that. I was guilty of that because I didn't vote for a judge, and I admit that on all my shows. I never voted for a judge in my life until one day I spoke to Davis because he saw how passionate I was, and it's like I get so angry at the injustice. He said, Georgette, one of the ways to make a change is when you vote. I said, I do vote. I always vote. He said, no, you have to vote for judges. It's not just the president that matters. That matters too. Okay, because I'm not happy with what we're doing right now. That matters too. And I tell people, don't just vote because they're in a specific party, like Republicans or Democrats. That's why I'm neither. I am for the right person. I don't care who you are. If you're the right fit, that's who I want to be in office, right? Wouldn't you guys want that?
Well, of course.
Of course.
There you go.
Definitely.
Exactly. So people never knew that they can vote for judges. I think when it comes to the mail, people throw them out, like whatever, or shred them. That's what I think.
That is true.
I didn't start paying attention until Davis told me about it. Then I start paying attention.
Yeah.
So it really matters who we have in family court, juvenile. It really matters. Matters a great deal.
Yeah.
District attorneys, they're just as bad. District attorneys, they take bribes. District attorneys go against the law by the rules they have in place as well. So everybody in office violates people's rights because they have rules in place to violate your rights. That's where the strategy comes in for a good attorney. That's where the strategy comes in.
Right. Well, apparently you have a listener who's texting me regarding her case, and the listener must know that I can't respond to her text until I'm finished with this broadcast. Mm-hmm. So it's because I'm getting multiple texts, which is fine. But to that listener who's listening right now, I will be glad to contact you the moment I'm off the air. So
welcome to my world, Dave.
Yeah, I bet.
Mine comes when I'm sleeping.
Well,
I'm trying.
Yeah, at 1:30 in the morning.
Yeah,
phone calls.
It comes. It really does come.
But while you're fighting, to elect the right people, which everybody should take into, concern about all the elected officials, while you're waiting for new elections to come up and who gets seated, you have to be educated. You have to go to the people that understand and have been doing this for a while. There's a lot of people out there that claim they can do this, they can do that. But unless you have a good track record and you understand and you talk to them, whether it's a lawyer, whether it's somebody like Georgette that knows the system inside and out, or an investigator like Dave and I, we've been there. We know how to conduct an investigation. We know what's necessary to gain some evidence that will help you. And that's what you need, is you need evidence that will help you. You need a plan. There's got to be strategy. There's got to be information. And if you think I can handle this, I got this. No, you're going to waste a lot of time and a lot of effort, and you're going to be so far in the system. It's going to take any lawyer. It's going to take Vincent forever to figure out what he needs to do to handle your situation because you thought you could handle it yourself, or you ended up with a family law attorney, and they're not going to help you.
What about if people want to hire you to investigate judges?
Investigating judges, they don't like to be investigated. So we have to be very careful on, not running around in that territory. But there are ways of figuring out situations that the judges get themselves involved in, like what else do they do? Do they own certain companies? Do they own foster care companies? Are they co-owners with maybe a district attorney and they own a foster care system or a foster care company or a monitoring company? And so all their cases get funneled through that. So everybody's kind of getting a piece of that pie. So yes, there are ways to bring those things to light, but to actually remove, I don't think investigators had an issue where they've had to successfully remove a judge over allegations. There's got to be a lot more than that.
But unless the judge is really clever, which is not going to be applicable to most of them, they've left a paperwork trail of their activities, of their involvement with other companies, their investments, etc. This morning I told you of a case where I found that the judge and the guardian that the child was turned over to were both donors to a nonprofit organization in a small town in northern Indiana. Well, what's the odds of them not, quote, knowing each other? Obviously, odds are very good that they know each other.
Yeah.
There is actually a judge in judge in Los Angeles County who actually, it's all over. I mean, it's all over the news right now. I mean, you can find it on social media. You can find it on YouTube. You can Google him or whatever. A judge in LA County. I'm not going to disclose his name, but he's involved with foster.org. And the foster facility there's like Orange County, I think Riverside, LA County, and another county I can't remember. However, he's involved with that organization, and all the kids that they take in that facility are neglect and abused kids, and all the kids that he keeps in the system is always neglect and abuse.
Yep.
Keeps them in the system.
And actually, a PI investigated this man and found that information, and it was all over. Yeah.
Good for that PI.
Yeah. So it's kind of like people are starting to come up exposing now. People are now starting to want these people exposed because you can't get away with this forever. You can't get away.
They don't want you to fight back. That's the biggest thing. They want you to listen.
You on fighting back. They fear you.
Obey.
But that's what bullies do.
Yeah.
Well, that's what
they manipulate. Do. They make you think everything's going to be fine. Just follow their rules, their procedure, and you'll be okay. Don't worry about getting an attorney. Just take these classes, show up to these court proceedings, talk with the judge, and you'll have your kids back, in a few months.
It's not true.
That never happens.
No.
Never happens.
It never happens. The best. I tell people this. They keep the abused children with the abuser, but they take the good kids from good parents because they're adoptable. They're adoptable.
And that's exactly what happens. They
Okay.
get adopted up.
Yes. These foster homes, 82% of them, they become foster parents to adopt. So it's kind of like a test drive. You go to the dealership, to test drive a car to see if you like it, right? So the social worker would bring them kids. Then the parents will say, yeah, we like this one, but we don't want to keep this one.
Right.
Yeah. And then the ones that I want to keep, then they go to a different home. Well, the mother is doing all the classes. She doesn't even know why she's doing it, but she's doing it because she was told that's the only way to. Exactly. For example, no drugs involved, but you got to go do a drug rehab class.
Right.
But why?
Well, and those cost money.
Isn't that weird? That's the only way to get your kids if you do a drug rehab class. But there was no
drugs involved.
No, right. Nothing. The father beat the mother. Yeah, well, the father beat the mother. She called the police for help. Police called CPS. CPS went and took the children and gave the kids to the abusive father, even with all the bruises and everything on her.
Yeah.
But then they will tell the mother that she failed to protect. Because they will tell the mother, because you knew he was abusing you all along, and you stayed with him.
You stayed with him, right.
But the mother's like, well, that's the first domestic violence we had, right? So I called for help. Why would you keep the kids with him?
Yeah.
Because he's the better fit.
Yep.
Well, see, that's where guys like me and Art can prove that the father isn't a better fit.
Yeah.
Because if he beat up his wife, he's beat up other people. He's probably not a stranger to the courts.
That's true. That's very true. But oftentimes it depends on the psyche of the person. So he might not have beat up other people. He might be a sociopath or a narcissist where they keep things on a down low. So that's going to be very hard to find out.
Yeah.
I think.
But we conduct surveillance. We watch these people. We watch their activity. We're very good at being invisible. We're good at following. We're good at doing background on everybody. And,
right.
you know, we're out there and it's in the public and we know where we can be and where we can't be. We know how to follow people. We know how to check situations. We know and understand what it takes to gather information that people need.
Yep. Well, that's good to know because a lot of people, like, for example, their spouses are diagnosed as narcissists or the psychiatrist diagnosed them as narcissists or what have you. And they're like, they don't like to be caught. Nobody can catch them, do anything. However, like Art said, Dave and him they're expert when it comes to, I'm sure they deal with a lot of sociopathic people in their lives. They know what to do. Am I right, Dave and Art?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Very much so. Well, we're very good at following. Like I said, we're good at being invisible.
Yeah.
We're very good at it.
Yeah. So, and also Art and Dave probably sniff a narcissist from 3 miles away. So I guarantee you, I really do believe that I've seen work that they've done. I mean, they're really good investigators, really, really good. And
you were talking earlier about voting. When you register to vote, at least in Indiana, they have to mail you your voter's registration card, which means you have to give them an address that's valid. Once you do that, that address is in the computers.
True.
Yep.
So I'm not registered to vote. So you can't find me.
Oh.
Right.
I'm pretty fairly sure that I'm under the radar for most people. The FBI has found me on cases, but John Q probably can't find me. So I'm not registered to vote.
Oh wow. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense because of your lifestyle, right?
Right.
Yeah. That makes sense. I wouldn't, if I was doing your job, I wouldn't do that either. I would probably be like that too.
Well, investigators have to maintain some secrecy. They have to maintain a lifestyle that you have to be safe as well. Because when you start kicking over rocks and you find all the crap underneath and all the bugs and insects that crawl around, they start to scatter. They run to other rocks. They don't like the light. They don't want to be exposed. The moment somebody starts exposing them, they go and hide again and hide again. All we can do is keep exposing until people start looking at the situation as something's wrong. Before you're in the system, get involved. Before you're in the system, start looking at what could go wrong if my kids were actually taken. What do I need to do? And all the parents that are in this situation right now, and you hear of somebody, it's just happening, you have a responsibility to go and talk to that person, especially if you know them. Let them know, you better lawyer up. You better figure out this situation now, because 2 months from now, the wheels are already turning. Just like Dave says, once you get in there, yeah.
That's a great point. More than once in talking to a new client, I've had to practically slap my forehead as the parent is telling me the chain of events that led up to the current crisis. And I'm thinking, why didn't you take a different road when you had that choice? You know, I'm thinking, why didn't you call somebody then? Why did you wait until the third beating before you called somebody? You know, those kind of events, you've got to examine yourself if you're in the system, about to be in the system, because the system is going to examine you thoroughly. Yeah. And the more beyond reproach your behavior is, the more likely you are to keep your child.
Okay. Oftentimes when a mother is in an abusive relationship, okay, when a narcissist takes over your psyche first, okay, when a narcissist looks for a victim, they usually choose a victim that is obedient, or a victim that came from a good home, a victim that's molded easily. Right. And usually good, ladies, or, ladies who grew up in a home that's loving and caring, mom and dad together, then they automatically think this is what they're going to have. So the abuser becomes what they want them to be. Then all of a sudden they put them in a position where pregnancy, when a woman is pregnant, a woman is emotional, a woman is sensitive, a woman is this, tired, or whatever, then they start using that weakness moment to attack the woman. But what they do, they get you mentally first, then they start verbally, and then physical happens. Then the woman is like, okay, well, is it because I'm fat, I'm pregnant, maybe I'm not on look good anymore? And that's kind of like the things that goes in a woman's head. Sure. And she's not looking at the big picture. It's kind of like somebody's pointing at the moon, like my dad used to say, but the idiot would look at the finger that's pointing to the moon, not the actual moon.
Yeah.
It's something that my dad did with me a while ago when I was 13. He had a picture of a moon, and then he pointed. He said, look at the moon. Isn't it beautiful? I said, Dad, it's gorgeous. He said, I'm so glad you said that. Because he said, the dumb ones look at the finger, not the moon. Does that make sense to you guys? Oh, they're not looking at the big picture.
Sure. Well, they're knee deep or neck deep in the swamp, and it's kind of hard to be objective when you're that far into this calamity, disaster.
But Dave, social workers shouldn't just assume, okay, and that the mother allowed this to happen, the abuse, right? And she failed to protect the children. Because, again, they're not qualified psychiatrists. Even a psychiatrist said to me one time, he said, it takes a very special psychiatrist to diagnose a narcissist.
Yep.
Not all psychiatrists are qualified, just like not all attorneys are qualified, and not all investigators are qualified.
Right.
So not all psychiatrists diagnose a narcissist.
Yeah.
It's a very special one that does that. And when they do diagnose them, they know exactly what they diagnosed.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. But social workers, they barely graduated high school, I'm sure. Okay. Most of them didn't even go to college. They just like literally 20, 22, 23. And they're diagnosing you. They know who you are from the first 10 minutes. Come on.
But like you said, they're following a script. They're following the rules that they're supposed to follow.
There you go.
It's not in your favor. It's never in your favor.
Exactly. It's
Everybody
a script.
knows that who's in the
It's a
system
script.
already.
Right. It's a
It's the
script.
old saying, I'm from the government and I'm here to help you. Well, we all know that
Yeah. Really?
I'm
We're
here
here
to help you.
It's so sad. I I'm gonna post something right now. Thank you, Maria. Thank you for that comment. But I'm gonna put something that Maria also put. Read that.
That's nice.
Thank you for sharing.
But investigators are
I
here.
want
Maria's
to
also
follow so
asking.
badly.
Maria's
But
asking
I'm
another
almost
question about
sure. Thank you,
investigators.
baby girl. Huh?
Maria's asking another about investigators, saying, I didn't know that they could help in these situations, and that's true. Because they see investigators, they think, oh, they're just going to follow the husband, follow the wife. They do the cheaters thing. They do background checks on people. But when it comes to this situation where children are stolen and CPS is involved, we've been doing this a while, and we understand we're very specialized in these situations where, yes, we can help you because we're coming from a unique position of handling cases like this. We know and we can help, just like the correct lawyers, just like Vincent could help, just like Georgette. It's knowledge, and not everybody does what we do, and not everybody can do it as well as we do, because we have, again, experience. We have game plans. We look at it and we actually pick apart what has gone wrong, which is going to be a lot, and then we set up a way to handle this. We set up surveillance, we do background checks, we interview, we talk with people. And because we are licensed, the judges actually will look at our reports. Now, a lot of times it goes sideways and they don't want anything to do with it, but we still bring forward a lot of facts, a lot of information that helps out the situation. And we've seen this help out with reunification.
Yes, it does help out. It
well
does.
said.
And also, you guys have to understand too that when I chose Dave and Art, it's for a reason. I won't just have them on the show if I didn't believe in them. You understand? There's so many investigators that contacted me. So many. But I chose two. It's for a reason. So they do amazing work. They really do. I can't discuss what they do fully because that's their job. However, there's a reason why they're here. They can help. Definitely can help. And also, just because somebody's been doing something for a long time, it doesn't make them an expert. I've learned that the hard way. What makes them an expert is the way their mind is designed to do their job. Okay. Right. There's an attorney that's been practicing law for 32 years. Mr. Davis, 35 years. Davis's mind, I call it, Davis is like he knows the civil codes, which is this thick.
Wow.
It's this thick. He knows the codes from his head. Other attorneys have to go to the law library in downtown
and figure it out.
Look for a specific code.
Well, you can have 20 years of experience 1 year 20 times.
That's correct.
I've seen that. Now, we talked this morning, we discussed, and that is that Art and I have to charge money to these to people.
Yeah.
And, I don't know how kind of a conversation you want to have about that, but this is probably a different audience than this morning.
Let me start it for you guys. Whenever you guys, people are looking for investigators or attorneys, right? Now, the court provides you with a court pretender, the court appointed attorney. He or she is not going to help you. They don't. They just don't. They're useless. They're just useless. They're like toilet paper. You use it and you flush it. That's what they are. When you guys look for a private firm or a private investigator to help you, don't expect pro bono. Oftentimes people call us, well, Mr. Davis loves kids, and why wouldn't he take my case for free? And then once I start asking them, would you work for free? They say no. Well, how is that Mr. Davis is not, he should have a heart. He does have a heart. He does fight for kids like they're his own kids. However, if Mr. Davis comes out of pocket with or the attorneys in our office for every case, and that's everybody that contacts us tells us their case is different, their case is unique, and Davis can be a millionaire. But you guys don't consider the filing. You don't consider the appearances. You don't consider the case review. You don't consider the paralegals they have to pay to do the documents, to file the documents, the server that has to do it. I mean, there's so much involved.
There's a lot involved.
There's a lot involved. Same thing with Dave. Same thing with Art. There's a lot involved. They drive everywhere. If they live in Orange County and your case is in San Diego, they will drive to San Diego. I'm giving you an example. However, you know, you're not paying for, you want them to do your case for free, but they will drive, pay $6 a gallon or $5 a gallon, $4 a gallon gas, and then they take time away and all of that. You expect them just to come out of pocket. You have to be a zillionaire, and it won't be enough to help the world.
Yeah. Well, like
people feel like they're entitled. I love everyone, and I fight. I am. Ask Art. I am the biggest advocate for mothers. Okay.
Right.
I am. I really, really am. However, don't feel entitled because you expect people to help you for free. It's
no,
not.
That's the problem because, and we discussed that this morning, is that people don't understand that the tragedies of the case obviously are very touching.
Yep.
But we have to, this is how we make money to make a living, to earn a living.
Right.
And we can't put food on the table for our families if we don't charge money.
Right.
So that's a reality that we just have to face.
Exactly. So I tell people that all the time. If you guys want to work for free for a year or two, well, I'll work for free. One lady said today, I'll work for free until I get my kids back.
Right.
That's what she said. I said, no. I asked you if you can work for us 2 years or 3 years for free. She said, no. I said, then there you go.
Yep.
Yeah. It's a lot of work.
You can't, exactly. You can't get the best of the best to help you in a state matter, right? In a juvenile case matter. And it's kind of like you're going to Rolls Royce for Nissan prices. You're not going to go to a Rolls Royce dealership, which there's one in Wilshire I've seen. It's beautiful. And then go in there and say, hey, all I have is $5,000 to get this Rolls Royce.
No.
It's impossible. They're going to look at you and say, get the F out. Who are you? Right?
Right.
We don't say that, but I'm just telling you what that dealership would do. I would love to go in there one day. I am actually with my aunt. I'm going to go one day in there and I'm going to ask, you know, all I have is $5,000 and let's see what they're going to say. Honestly, I'm curious. I just want to do it. But honestly,
you can find a hubcap. So
no, but you know, he probably, yeah, you're right.
Right.
Yeah,
you're not going to get very far.
A little crack of the mirror or something. I don't know. But honestly, the kids are very important. However, when it comes to children, money, there's no amount of money in the world, right? That
right. And see, Art and I I can't speak for Art, but the time involved in a case is the big determining factor as to the cost, how long it takes.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I did a case last week. It was not a CPS case, but it was down in the Atlanta, Georgia area.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm done with the case. Great. But I'm still 9 hours from home. So, you know, everything is based on time.
Yes, that's true. Good point.
Everything is based on time. But again, guys, people that hired us, like I have 2 people that hired us today. Oh no, 3 people that hired us today, 2 people. Yesterday, 3 people. Today, 2 people. And all of them said the same thing. They said, we asked for help.
Right.
Like I said, you ask for help. You ask and you shall receive. You seek and you will find.
Yeah.
You can't sit down and say, okay, no one's going to help me. I don't have a family. I don't have this. I don't have that. like I said to you guys earlier, one of our clients last year slept with his brother um slept at his brother's home with his wife, and for a while, until he saved like, as he has money, as he's working, he just saves it, and then hired an attorney. Right. So you guys understand that as a parent, we will sacrifice to get our kids back. We will. But don't go buy a brand new Jeep. Like this client told me, a brand new Jeep. I can't get my kids back because I paid for a brand new Jeep. So she took the money that she got, I don't know, COVID money, and she bought a brand new Jeep.
Yeah.
That broke my heart.
Well, that's tragic.
She could buy a Toyota, a used Toyota for $4,500, example, that will take her from A to B or A to Z, whatever. Save the rest of the money to get a good attorney to fight for your kids.
Right.
It's sad that the scenario was such that people have to come up with money and to get their kids back. But that's a reality that we just can't change.
Exactly. But Lisa Jackson said, I wish I could find a pro bono attorney. My court appointed one isn't fighting hard enough. Well, honey, your court appointed one is a pro bono attorney.
Yeah.
And he's not going to fight for you or anyone else.
He gets paid the same.
When you go for a private law firm, there is no such thing as pro bono. And you cannot get pro bono calling Free Legal Aid Foundation either, because they get funded, right? So they're not going to go against the state and county.
Yeah.
They're not. So there is no pro bono attorney outside of the juvenile ones that they assign to you. And that's just how it
and
is.
a lot of times people feel like there's no recourse. There's no way that they're going to be able to fight this system because they can't afford it.
Right.
Talk to the attorneys, talk to us, talk to Georgette. Right. We will help get you that information that you're going to need to lead you to being able to handle this, afford it, do whatever you need to do, because we understand how important something like that is.
It is. And also there's a funding agencies. In 2021, I think it was 2 months. Wait, hold on. Are we in January? Yes. October of 2021. One of our clients told me that she found a funding company. However, the funding company does not fund certain states, like, for example, Nevada, Las Vegas, Arizona, and other states. But it's weird. They're in New York, but they fund Los Angeles, which is really weird. However, they don't want to fund these certain types of states because it's more complicated with them, with the state, with that state. Like, they don't want to deal with them. I don't know what it is, but it's something big, right? So I tell people all the time, look, search. There's funding agencies for attorney fees. There's funding companies that will actually fund you for attorney fees. And they're going to ask you questions like, what do you do for a living? What kind of case do you have? Et cetera, et cetera. Okay. But you can find it. You can find it on Google. Just Google in the state that you're in. So you can get one that will fund in that particular state. Right. That I know. I believe is called, the one that she got funding from is called Momentum Funding. I believe is based in New York. Momentum Funding. That's all I can remember right now. But there is funding agencies that you guys can call and don't stop. There's the client that we hired today. He told me him and his wife called 148 attorneys.
Oh my gosh.
148 attorneys.
But see, that's what you have to do, though.
Yeah.
if your car breaks down, you have to take your car to a mechanic, a reputable one that knows what's going to happen, so you don't get overcharged. They're not going to fix your car for free. When you're stuck in a situation where I need my car to drive, I need my car to get to work. Well, you want your children back at all costs because you want them back. These are the loves of your life, and you're going to do anything you can. We exist to help because the system is not going to work with you. That's why we're here. If the system worked, you wouldn't need an attorney. You wouldn't need investigators. You would just show up, plead your case, and the judge would look at you and say, oh, you know what? I believe you. I understand you. And it was a miscommunication somewhere. Let's get her kids back to her or him, right? There would be no investigation. There would be no issue, no problem. We're here to provide a service for people, and we want to be able to help you and get those answers for you. That's what we do. Doesn't matter what the investigation is.
And like Maria said that honestly, Maria, I'm going to answer your question, or I'm going to comment to this. I've lost a very significant amount of money that I cannot get back. Right.
Yeah,
earlier today, we had a lady that said she paid an attorney $2,500, I believe, something like that. And I said, "There's no way that's a juvenile dependency attorney. It's no way. It's no way that was the retainer. No way. It's impossible."
Or they're not gonna. That won't even cover the paperwork.
So family law attorneys oftentimes say, "Oh yeah, I can do a CPS case." No, you can't. No, you can't. I asked one of our attorneys that handle juvenile cases, and she said, no, send them to a family law attorney in our office when it was a family law case. I said, hey, can you handle this? She said, no. Tell them this is small courts. I'm dealing with the big, big people, It's kind of like people don't understand family law, juvenile, completely different. Different codes, different jurisdiction, different. Everything is different. Yeah. Everything is different.
And then you have the compound problem of parents who are fighting for their children.
Right.
They've been taken advantage of by attorneys and maybe even private investigators who didn't know what they were doing.
Right.
By the time they realize that, they've already lost, to quote her, a significant amount of money.
Right. That's correct. Yes.
And that's here they are stuck fighting for their children, and all their assets have been depleted by a person who didn't know what they were doing.
Yes, exactly. And that's why it's very important. Like Mr. Davis on the shows, he always tells people, find the right one. Find the right one that you feel comfortable with. But always ask them, what's there to help my case? Like, what is going to help my case? Like, what kind of strategy do you have? What have you? Ask questions to your attorney. I'm not saying call your attorney every 5 minutes. Some people do that. Some people call their attorney every 5 minutes. It's not necessary because they don't know what to do without the kids. They think their attorney, has to be available. Like they're the only ones, and the attorney has to be available for them at all times.
Right.
But the attorney is also handling other cases. He's in court or she's in court. I have a client that called me 28 times looking for her attorney. 28 times. It's not necessary.
That's excessive.
It's excessive. Because we all understand that we without our kids were nothing. We get it. We understand that. But you can't keep, and the same thing goes with the investigator. He could be doing a job, right? Trying to be discreet, and here you go, 28 times.
Bringing our phone.
Yeah.
And the problem is they want and they need instant relief from their situation.
Right.
But it's not going to be instant. It's going to be a lengthy process. No matter how badly you want it, it's going to take time to develop a case that allows you to either get your kids back or keep your kids, whatever the scenario is. But it's not going to be. It's not going to be quick.
No, and a lot of people ask this question, Dave, and Art. They say, "Well, how long is the case going to take? How long?" I don't know. I don't know anything about your case. I just go by what you're telling me. The attorney hasn't reviewed your case.
I
The
tell them
attorney
to
has no
throw a
idea what.
dart.
Yeah.
I tell people to throw a dart, and whatever number that lands on, that's how long it's going to take. I have no idea.
There's no way of knowing until we
There's
get
no
into
way
it.
of knowing. Exactly. It's no way of knowing. So that shouldn't be the main focus, really, because the longer you wait, the more complicated your case is getting.
Yeah.
And people don't understand that we base our retainers based on cases and the length of the case and the complication of the case. Because now the attorney in our office has to now revisit 2 years of crap that the social workers have done and the court appointed attorney has done.
Right.
Right? Now,
Right.
he or she has to fix, kind of like you guys. When you guys get for example, if somebody comes to you and say, you know what, Art and Dave, you're too expensive. I don't want to hire you. I'm going to go to the cheap guy. They go to the cheap guy. The cheap
We
guy
tell them we'll see you in
ruins-
2 weeks.
Yeah, they ruin everything. Then they come back to Art and Dave and say, hey, man, I changed my mind. I'm going to hire you. And Art's like, okay, well, what happened? Art needs to know what's going on, right? Because now the other guy ruined everything now. Art has
Messed
to
up the
fix.
whole thing.
Same thing with the attorneys. Now the attorney has to fix what the other crap happened from the other attorney, right? Because people tend to go to cheap.
And here's the thing. What is considered too expensive for your children? If we and I say I'll lump in investigators, okay? If you have 10 top investigators in the country, okay, and they charge $250 an hour, $400 an hour, or they might charge $80 an hour. What is too expensive for you? $50 an hour. $5,000 retainer might be too expensive for somebody. $1,000 retainer might be too expensive for somebody. These are your children.
Mm-hmm.
You need to get a hold of investigators and attorneys that understand how to play this game, because that's exactly what it is. You're playing against a team. They make the rules. It's their game. You think you're going to figure them out? No. That's what we're here for. That's why we are successful. That's why we exist, because it's their game. We know how to play their game.
But it's like kind of like saying that, you know what, I'm gonna ask the devil why he likes to trick people. When people take matters in their own hand, right? It's kind of like you're dealing with. It's not just a game. It's a mental. It's a mental breakdown.
Then they'll break you down.
Yeah, it's a mental breakdown. And if you're not strong enough to hold yourself together, you're gonna break, and they're gonna watch you break, and they're gonna be smiling while you're breaking. So what I tell parents is that don't numb your pain by going to drink yourself to sleep. Don't numb your pain by using specific drugs to help you. The thing you need to do is be alert. You need to be ready, and it's kind of like getting ready for the battle, right? You're not going to drink yourself to death, to sleep, because your opponent, the other, whatever you want to call them, soldiers, are going to kill you. Because now
You need
you're weak.
strategy.
You're now there, you're sleeping, right? They're going to get you.
They're going to get you because you're not ready.
Yeah, you have to be alert. I was telling Art and my viewers before that I usually do meditation. I learned that from age 13. My parents. Meditation. It helps. It really helps. My soothing place is the ocean. So I have ocean sound. I have candles. I love candles. I have candles everywhere because that helps me. And then dim the lights, just candles, and just focus on clearing all the clutter from your head. And then speak what you want in existence. Speak that you already have your kids. Speak it into your world. Speak it into your life. Don't be negative. Don't go out and cry to everybody that they stole my kids. They stole my kids. You know they stole your kids, but you have to train this to get them back. Yep. That's the only way. If you don't work on yourself and you let them win, you're lost.
Yeah.
Well, they don't.
They laugh.
But
It's
again,
true.
they think the system works the way it's supposed to, and it
Mm-hmm.
simply doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
So
Doesn't.
when the social worker is interviewing them and
Mm-hmm.
using your words, breaking them down,
Mm-hmm.
they don't realize that they're being used and manipulated by that social worker.
Right. Right. No, it's true.
It's their game, it's their rules. You need to
Mm-hmm.
find people that know that game as well as they do.
Yeah.
And people do come and they'll ask you,
Mm-hmm.
what can I do? How can I fight this? One thing, you need to gain knowledge. You need to educate yourself. Get the right investigators, get the right lawyer, talk to Vincent, talk to Georgette, talk to Dave, talk to myself,
Mm-hmm.
talk, get some information. It's the only way you're going to be able to prepare yourself is by understanding exactly what you need to fight from the beginning. If you're already in the system, fine. We're still going to help you through it. But there's a lot of people that are just getting started. The kids are just ripped from their arms. What do I do now?
Mm-hmm.
Get knowledge, get some education. You have to know how to fight this fight. It's not that simple. It's
Mm-hmm.
complicated. Talk to
Mm-hmm.
people who know exactly what's going on.
Yeah,
You know,
you're on their turf. So
yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing is, they're trained to do it where they see you fail. People, like parents, lose their jobs doing all this. All the classes they have to do, all this they have to go to, blah, 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 blah. They lose their jobs. They do. We have a
Yep.
client that said, you know what, I lost my job. My brother, my neighbor, everybody in the neighborhood is helping her get a job. And they found her a job from home. So she works from home. So I told her, I asked her, I said, what do you do? She said, well, finally, I got a job answering a phone, just answering phones for the T-Mobile. That's all she does is answer phones. And I said, how much are you making? She said, oh, I'm making $17 an hour. I said, that's not bad.
no.
I said, where are you living? She said, well, right now I'm living with my best friend and her husband and save up money so I can get an attorney, a good attorney. So she's taken the next step. She didn't sit there and, she's still sad, but she said, I don't have time to be sad. I don't have time to be angry. I need to pull it together to get my kids back.
Yeah.
I realized that and I asked her, I said, do you meditate? What do you do to help you with the challenges, right? She said, honey, I just pray. And I love that. She prays. Yeah. So even though you see the circumstances bigger than you, however, that's what a bully wants you to think. That you have no help. You're never going to get help, because the more you say this yourself, the more you're going to sleep and not be awake.
That's right.
And you have to speak positive. Your words have to be positive. Your words have to continually, whatever you want in your life, you need to speak it out.
And you need to strengthen yourself, like you said, mentally, emotionally. You need to meditate. You need focus. You need knowledge, a strategy. You need information. That's what you need. That's why we're all here. It's to help with that. I'm looking at one of the comments over saying that they've been fighting this for 3 years. Somehow that happens. It's a fight.
It's a
You
fight.
need the right tools. You need the right people on your side,
right?
Or it's going to take 3-4 years.
Well, exactly. If you don't have the right attorney, it's hard. I don't even want to say it, but you have to be very alert. You have to be awake. You have to get it together.
Get it together. We know it's a bad situation.
Yeah, we know it is. We know it is.
Well, you'd be hard pressed to name a scenario more devastating emotionally to a parent than the loss of a child.
Exactly.
So I mean that's probably number one on the scale of devastating events to parents.
Yeah.
So,
but that's what they know. But they know this, Dave.
They know that. They know that they're vulnerable.
Yes, they know that they stole the mother's soul. Like literally, they went inside her and took her heart, kidney, liver, everything. And she's a walking zombie.
Yeah. Right.
A walking zombie. But you can't allow the circumstance to control you. Because when the circumstances control you, the bad situation you're in controls you, then you can't fight for these kids. and
And
your
if
kids
that's where they fail.
together. Right,
They
right,
allow themselves to be manipulated by these
right,
social workers
right.
because that's their job to manipulate.
That is correct.
You think
Yeah.
you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, which is actually not true.
Yeah.
It's not true.
What
And
does
you
a
look around and
narcissist
suddenly
always do, though?
you're looking
Yeah,
at a barren desert, your children are gone.
right. But what does a narcissist always do? They tell you what they're going to do, but they never do it.
Yeah.
But they
They want to
want
make
you
you
to
feel
do
like
it.
it's okay.
Uh-huh.
You're going to be fine. Don't
You're gonna
worry.
be fine. Yeah.
We'll get you through
But
it.
they never
And
do it.
as investigators, we know that's not true.
It's not
Lawyers
true.
know that's not true.
No, it's not true.
It's not.
It's not true because they're the ones who's causing. The kids are traumatized with the CPS. With CPS, they're the ones who are traumatizing the children. The children were fine.
Yeah.
So anybody can just make allegation and you go to steal their children.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me right now? So my ex-spouse, hey, I don't want to pay you child support, so I'm just gonna like make you look like you're scum of the earth, mom.
Right.
So let me steal my children now from you.
Yeah.
That's a narcissist behavior. Why? Because it's all about I. There
Yeah.
is no we. A normal behavior is when you want to co-parent together and not fight over child support. And I tell people that sometimes, like, stop fighting over child support. Get a job, raise, take care of your kids when you have them, and the husband takes care of the ex-husband or ex whatever, takes care of them when he has them, right? And then for big decision, like, if it's $2,000 thing, then can you go half and I'll go half? That's
Right.
what normal freaking co-parenting should be. But what people do is that they always blame one parent. Why? Because they don't want to pay child support. I honestly believe that there should be a system without child support. Because both parents should have rights to their children. Both should have rights to their freaking children. Why? Because you made them together.
There should be responsibility for both, taking care of both. Yeah.
Exactly. So get your ego, put your ego aside, put all this narcissistic crap aside, and think of something that you made together.
In a perfect
That's
world.
very important. And
Right.
well, that's how it should be.
It should be. Yes, of course.
That's how it should be. But I see oftentimes parents are fighting over the dumbest shit.
Yeah.
It's the dumbest shit.
Yeah.
And then
you have parents fighting and CPS standing off to the side watching it.
Yes.
And understand something very important. The system that we talk about, whether it's government, political, or CPS, they don't like disruption. They want to just have it the way they want to have it. But here's the big thing. You get the right lawyer, you get somebody like Georgette, you get the right investigator, you get somebody like myself or Dave, we disrupt that system.
That's right.
They don't like it. They hate that.
Our mere presence bothers them.
That's what we do.
Yeah. Like Jackie said, it's like playing chess with the enemy. You're
You
playing
have to
chess.
know how to play.
Yeah.
We know how to
You
play.
gotta learn. When you're playing chess, right?
You know how to win.
You can't fall asleep.
It's not checkers, man.
My dad and my mom used to play it together, right? And I would walk on them, and my dad is so like, and my mom is like you can't tell what they're thinking, right? So when they used to play it together, I'm like, when you least expect it is checkmate, right? Checkmate.
Right.
Checkmate. You have to be so good at it, but you have to be focused. You have to stay silent. Oftentimes people show their emotions to a social worker. They act.
That's why we're good at Texas Hold'em, right, Art?
Yeah.
Exactly. You have to know what the other people are thinking. You have to know what their moves are.
Right.
So you can maneuver. You
There
have
you
to
go.
know.
Yes. So you have
Can't
to
just
know.
guess.
Right. And oftentimes just don't do anything. Just show them a poker face.
Right.
Just a poker
Stay
face.
calm.
Stay calm.
Please.
Because that's all they want. They will poke you until either you have a heart attack, God forbid, or you just lose yourself and be the social worker, like one of the clients that spoke to me last week said.
Right.
She beat her up.
You can fall apart after they leave.
Yes,
But
you can
till
kick
then,
balls, you can,
right.
right, you can cry, you can
Hey, we're not
do
saying it's
whatever.
easy. We're
It's
just
not
saying this is
easy.
what you have to do.
Yeah,
Right.
because a bully, when you show them weakness, what is the bully gonna say? You made them do it.
Yep.
Right.
They're gonna hold you in a cage, and you are there. Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
you got it, Miss
No,
G.
you can't do that. You can't do that. God didn't create us to be like this. We're
No.
not doormats to idiot people and narcissistic assholes in the world. We're
Yeah.
not. Okay? We're
We're here
not.
for a reason.
We are, there's a reason for us to be here. God doesn't give God chooses his strongest soldier for his toughest battle. His strongest soldier for his toughest battle. So don't feel like you're defeated. It's not over yet.
It's not over.
Work on your brain, work on yourself, work on how you handle yourself in conflicts, because that's very important. Who you are is how you handle situation that's hard.
Yep, that's very true.
Yeah.
Okay? So remember that, because you're better than that, you're bigger than that. Don't give them a reason to say you're crazy, because you know you're not crazy, but what they're doing is freaking crazy, that you're trying to process how this happened to you.
Yeah.
Okay? So get that out, meditation, think positive, and focus on handling situations better, like difficult circumstances better.
Exactly.
Okay?
Very good.
Thank you, guys. God bless you
Yeah.
all. Thank you again, Dave, and thank you again, Art. I will see you guys later. God bless all of you.
Okay.
See you, bud.
Bye.
Bye.